Hi everyone, I have just been having a few technical issues and I'm fingers crossed Facebook is going live. I can't see it yet. Oh, I can see it. Yay. Facebook has been so weird at the moment, so weird. So I've had to go in different ways to make this live. So anyway, fingers crossed. This is our Monday art project. Yay. This is the one that I've been excited about, this one. And we were supposed to do this last week, but anyway, we didn't. So here we are. Yay. And it looks like everything's working. So if you are watching this video, or I've got my iPad down here, so hopefully I can see any questions. I look nice and clear on my end, but not on the iPad, so let's see how we go. Anywho, so we are going to stencil on fabric. Yeah, which is actually really easy. If you know how to stencil, you can easily stencil on fabric. You just need to be slightly more careful. I've got a beautiful cushion here. So I have these blank cushion covers, kindly made for me by Adele at Fine and Dandy. So it has this really cool ticking on the back, a nice, and then it is actually quite a rough fabric on the front. So it's quite dense, so I have to be a little bit careful with stenciling onto that. And then the stencil I'm going to use on this cushion today is this one here. I think I'm just going to use the word Paris and the fleur de lis. I don't think I'm going to put the other junk on it. I quite like the number. We'll see how we go. Anyway, I'm going to stencil the whole cushion, and then I've got some others that I have already completed, and I'm going to show you what they look like. So if this is something that interests you, carry on watching, and if it's not, you can skip on by to something else. Anywho, I'm going to pull this down. And yeah, if you've got any questions, ask them. I'm going to pull it down, show you my workbench, and we'll get going from there. Rightio. How does that look? I think that looks pretty good. Right. So give me a thumbs up or say hello if you are watching this. So here's my cushion cover. I'm going to open up the zip, and what you want to have is a nice firm non-moving surface to stencil behind. And I'm just going to stencil with normal paint. I'll show you that in a minute, but I'm just going to prep my surface first. I don't want any of my paint to go through the fabric, so I've got this nice solid piece of cardboard I've been using. I'm going to plonk him in there. Oh, maybe you can't quite see that. I'm going to plonk him right in there to give myself, turn it around, a nice hard base to push against with my stencil. So I think that will kind of do it, kind of put it roughly in the middle. Then this is the stencil I'm going to be using, and I want to get this word Paris on there, and then I want this fleur de lis. Oh, so I can see that my piece of card might need to go the other way. Let's see. Turn that around. No, it has to go the other way. I'm going to have to move it halfway through because it doesn't quite fit my whole image, but that's okay. No problemo. I quite like the images. Get this in the middle. I quite like the images to be at the slightly upper part of my cushion, and that is because when you put your cushion in them, it makes it rounded, and so it means the image can be seen when you propped your pillow nicely up against your couch or your chair or wherever it's going. Okay, that roughly kind of looks like it's in the middle. So I do have a tape measure here, about 90, oh no, it has to be over here this way, a little bit more. I'm definitely not a perfectionist, so it's kind of like, oh, yeah, that's about right. So it's about 100. Yeah, about there. About there looks good. Oh, I suppose I better measure-ish this one. So 220. Yep, that's about right. Cool. All right, so I've got it in position and I can feel my hardboard underneath. Now I'm going to tape it into place. This is quite an important part because you don't want it to move. This, I've got two types of low-tack tape here. You just get those from the hardware store. This is a slightly more delicate one. It's a little bit more smooth. I prefer the slightly rougher one. I think it's got a little bit more grip onto the fabric. So now I'm going to tape that right into place onto my fabric. It's not going to leave any residue at all, but the key to good stenciling, especially on fabric, is that your stencil, you do not want your stencil to move. So, and this nice wide one gives me quite a bit of grip over and above past the stencil. Cool. So there, it's all in place. Now, what am I going to use to paint with? I am going to use black. I have used gold and black. I'll show you ones in gold, but we're just going to use carbon black Velvet Luxe. So carbon black is a self-sealing paint from our artisan range. So it's perfect for this type of work. If you've ever got Velvet Luxe on your clothes, you know it's nearly impossible to wash it out. So yeah, I think this is a really good choice over and above the chalk paint that can be dissolved in water. I've definitely stained my clothes with chalk paint as well, but this one much more. So it comes in two size tins, this litre tin, and then I've got a great big huge tin over here because we use so much of it. I'm not going to pull that over because I don't want to get black paint on everywhere. And I've just put a little bit of the carbon black into this little plastic tray. So I've got a stencil brush. So a stencil brush essentially has hard, firm bristles. If you've got one which has slightly finer, softer bristles, I'm finding these ones that work. I've got a whole lot of different ones. These ones are working really well with the fabric. The fabric is quite porous, so what seems to happen is that it takes a little bit to get, it's quite forgiving, takes a little bit to get the paint onto the fabric. I've also got a tiny little one, and I'm finding that I've been using this for very fine stencils. Like I might use this today on these little leaves here because they are much finer than some of the rest of the stencil. So oh yeah, you can see that. Cool. Rightio. I've just got some scrap paper here. I'm going to dip my brush into just the top of it, straight down into my paint, wipe most of it off, and then I'm going to dab most of it off onto just this piece of paper, so I'm not putting a big blob of black paint onto here. Yeah, offloading is important, and I'm going to use a dabbing up and down motion. So you'll notice I'm going straight up and down onto the fabric, and because the fabric is quite dense, it's not a fine weave at all, it is going to take a bit of paint to create the impression. My fabric is, of course, really light color, so definitely doing the black does make a very strong contrast against the light fabric. So you will find that you are getting way more paint onto your piece than you think that you are. Can you see that? Yep, you can see that. If you've got any questions, let me know. And when I I'm dabbing back for more paint, I'm dabbing back to the dabbed off bit on my paper. I'm trying not to pick it up directly from my little plastic cup. It's not going to be perfect either, and that is because stenciling, I find, is not a perfect craft, but also because my fabric is not completely flat. So that means that it's not going to have a super crisp image as if I was doing it on a piece of paper, which is a really flat substrate, and it will take the paint really evenly. So depending on what sort of fabric you're stenciling over will also depend on what sort of stencil image you get. But the stencil images have been turning out really good. You don't need to fill up every nook and cranny either. That is important. What you will find is that the image does go on there nicely, and oh, there's a bit of garbage there. Oh, see, that's good. My nice wide tape. Imagine if I had smeared that onto my fabric, I would be kicking myself. So yeah, you will still get a nice nice image, even though my fabric is, I would say, kind of knobbly, has a thicker weave. You'll also note I'm using the hand that is not doing the painting to hold the stencil down. That's really important because stencils have all sorts of movable bits. And if you want a nice image, holding down all those movable bits will really help cover up the areas that you're not wanting the paint to get onto. So it's worthwhile. Yes, you'll get painty hands, but it is very worthwhile. Has anyone else done this? Has anyone done fabric for it? It would be really cute on aprons. Of course, you can stencil furniture and all sorts of other things like that. I think I'm going to do the outside first. Also notice I started in the area and pulled my hands over it, so I'm going to start, I was thinking about using my small brush on these little leaves, but no, this brush is covering just fine. So I'm starting away from myself and dragging my arms and hands away from my paintwork, and that way I have a lesser chance of moving it. Now I can only go to there because that's where my cardboard ends. So what I'm going to do is careful maneuver, not put my painty hand in, but keep this hopefully nice and flat. Pull my cardboard down without moving. There we go. So now my cardboard is covering this bottom part of the stencil because I've finished with up there. I'm not going to go over that or anything again. So holding down, holding down. I've done some two-tone stencils as well on fabric. I've actually been playing with our new metallic alchemy range and used the strongest gold in the range, which is called indie gold, to do some stenciling, and that has worked out brilliant as well. How you would do that was just have your little pots, if you're wanting to use a different color, all your little pots of paint all set up, and then of course just use a different brush for each paint area you want to do in a different color, and do it all at once. So I could have done the fleur-de-lis in a different color, and it doesn't have to be black either. I mean, I've just done these black because I'm going for that very clean kind of Frenchy look, and I think it suits the fabric that I've chosen, and I think it suits the stencils that I've chosen. But You could do fun ones. If you've got a green couch, you could do like green ones and soft red ones. Oh, too much paint here. Offload. I felt that just went very squishy under there. I wasn't paying attention. And what that will bring to the piece is a little bit of a sloppy stencil in one area. So don't do stenciling when you're in a rush. You need to be methodical and careful. Don't go round and round. That will push the paint under. Don't move your stencil. If you move your stencil, that's when you'll get a sloppy look to your stencils as well. And as I said, the fabric's quite absorbent, so it's pretty good at giving you a good image. Right, I feel like that looks pretty good. I'm just gonna stand up, have a wee look. Yep. That's good. Kind of like how my Paris is quite worn. Okay, so I'm going to put these to the side. The big reveal. I'm just going to wipe my hands so I haven't got black paint on my hands. I don't know if we've even got, this is not such a weird time to go live, I know guys, but yeah, Monday morning-ish is when I plan to do these art projects. Now next Monday is, what is next Monday? It's Easter Monday. I'm not sure if I'll do a live then or not. Anywho, we're good to go. It's all completed. I'm gonna get my stencil and my paint out of the way over here. Let's reveal what that now looks like. Right. So you don't want to leave your stencil on. I want to take it off straight away. Cool, put it somewhere flat. And how cool does that look? That is just a bit of dust. Let's turn that around. Oh, it's still got the cardboard in it. Let's pull him out. It's a great piece of cardboard, very hard. Keep him handy for something else. Look how cool that looks. So you could do this on pillowcases, you could do it on tea towels, you could do it on baby's clothes, you could do it on bags, all sorts of things. So yeah, that will just needs to dry and we're good to go. It's not going to come off. If it gets water spilled on it, it'll be fine. Yeah, so that is stenciling on fabric. I want to show you a couple of others that I've done as well. Just grab them. This is one that I have done on, this is like a fine linen that I found. I'm going to get these made into cushions as well. So this was, took the paint in a slightly different way because it is a finer material. And you see here, I actually used indie gold, our metallic gold concentrate, to create the gold bits of that too. So we have all these paints, the brushes and stencils all in store. Oh, this is one. Just had a wee practice before, this is a rectangle one. Had a wee practice just before I jumped on the live. That is another one. How cute. These are going to look so good with cushions in them. And then I've got one over here which does have an inner in it. So this one, this has been one of our classic stencils. I have just ordered some new ones of these. This says, it's in French, honey in the garden. So if you're wanting that one, that will be coming back in soon. But this is what it looks like, stenciled on a cushion. How cool is that? The back. So yeah, kind of thought these stencils, the cushions would be really good because you can get that gorgeous French bespoke one-of-a-kind look by having that, or you can mix and match them by having that beautiful neutral, what's it called? ticking cloth as well. So that is how to stencil on fabric. Easy peasy. If you've got any questions at all, please send them through. I'm happy to help troubleshoot or help you through that. And if you watch this live or on the replay, I'd really appreciate it if you say hi or whatever. And then this is the paint that we used. Velvet Luxe in Carbon Black. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.